Happy Easter, and welcome to your Easter edition of the Doom Report. I haven't done one of these since Thursday, so we got a lot to catch up on. Oil production from the Middle East has plunged 63% in March, and we are now facing the biggest global energy crisis in history. South Florida gas stations are reporting shortages for the first time since the Iran war started. Produce prices exploded in the UK Friday night as the fuel shortages and Trump's war increased prices. I'm telling you guys, you better stock up on food. Iran shot down an F-15 the other day over its homeland, and last night they did recover the second member of the crew safe and sound, from what I understand. So that's good. An Iranian drone destroyed a CH-47 helicopter in Kuwait. This was Friday night. Bloomberg reports that Japan ordered 400 U.S. Tomahawk cruise missiles worth $2.35 billion, and that order has been delayed because, well, we're using them in Iran. Germany is preparing for war. Young Germans are banned from leaving the country without special permission. In an amendment to the law modernizing military service, all men between 17 and 45 years old must obtain permission if they want to leave the country of Germany. I know our lovely mainstream media and our government keeps telling us, oh, we're almost done. We've almost completely wiped them out. Well, I got news for you. Things are escalating. They're not going the other way. According to the New York Times, Iran is rapidly digging out and repairing underground missile launch facilities and silos, often restored them within hours after the U.S. and the Israeli strikes. That's because they're buried in the mountains. President Trump names Vice President J.D. Vance the fraud czar to investigate massive fraud in the blue states. I got news for you. I live in a red state. There's a lot of fraud here, too. It's everywhere. It's not just the blue states. An Iranian strike has crippled the UAE's aluminum giant Emirates Global Aluminum, and it says it will take at least a year to restore full output. The United Nations nuclear watchdog says it has deep concerns following a strike near the Bushehr nuclear power plant in Iran. According to a Reuters report, U.S. intelligence believes Iran is unlikely to open the Strait of Hormuz anytime soon. So guess what? Fuel prices are just going to keep going up. The IRGC claims they have struck MSC Ishika with a drone in the Strait of Hormuz. It was a vessel affiliated with Israel carrying oil, and the vessel was engulfed in a massive fire. President Trump has called NATO a severely weakened and extremely unreliable partner. President Trump warned Iran yesterday it has 48 hours to make a deal or to reopen the Strait of Hormuz before all hell rains down on them. I believe that deadline runs out on Tuesday. Average fuel prices in the U.S. have reached $4.10 a gallon, their highest level since August of 2022. The U.S. imports about 60% of its aluminum needs annually from the Middle East, increasing fears that the strike on the plant in the UAE and Bahrain could cause a real comprehensive crisis in the supply chain. Guys, it's not just going to be gas and food. It's going to be everything. So if you need it right now, you better go get it. After announcing his resignation, the Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army issues a fiery statement saying a madman will lead the great U.S. Army to its destruction. That's an interesting statement. The Iranian foreign minister warns that the attacks on the Bushehr nuclear power plant could end life in the Gulf capitals and not Tehran. Iran said it deployed a new air defense system that was used to target and down the U.S. F-15 fighter jet, claiming it will fully secure control of its airspace. Prime Minister of Hungary Orbán has emphasized in a report that a severe energy crisis is approaching and accelerating day by day, and Europe's economy is threatened by energy shortages as a result of rising prices, and they must immediately remove sanctions on Russian energy. You know, the Russians are making out like a bandit in all this. The Pakistani foreign minister says our efforts to mediate a ceasefire between Tehran and Washington are on the right track, which I don't believe at all. Fertilizer prices have moved up to their highest level since May of 2022, raising 52%. About one-third of the global fertilizer supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, which will drive food prices, inflation higher in the coming weeks and months. I'm telling you guys, I hate to beat a dead horse here, but you better stock up on some food. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell delivers the bad news. He says there is effectively zero net job creation in the private sector. And as the supply chain keeps getting interrupted, that's just going to get worse. So on top of everything else, there's going to be a lot of people lose their jobs. The State Department announced that the U.S. federal agents arrested the niece and grandniece of deceased Iranian military commander Qasem Soleimani after Secretary of State Marco Rubio revoked their lawful resident status in the United States. Chinese holdings of U.S. Treasury securities have fallen to their lowest level since the 2008 financial crisis, dropping from a peak of $1.3 trillion in 2011 to roughly $650 billion today. According to reports, the war in Iran is costing the U.S. about $2 billion per day. That means so far the U.S. has spent roughly $70 billion. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham says, after speaking with Trump this morning, I am absolutely convinced that there will be use of overwhelming military force against the regime if it continues to block the Strait of Hormuz and refuses diplomatic solutions to achieve our military objectives. Here is a rundown of the U.S. military aviation losses so far. 1 F-35, 4 F-15 Strike Eagles, 1 A-10 Warthog, 1 E-3G Century, 8 KC-135 Strata tankers, 17 MQ-9 Reaper drones, UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter, 1 damaged, 2 damaged HH-60G Pave Hawks, and 1 CH-47 Chinook helicopter. Russia has made a statement saying the U.S.-Israel strike on Iran's Bushehr nuclear power plant is evil. Fuel stockpiles in the European Union will be depleted by April 20th. I'm telling you guys, it's coming. Yeah, I know they keep telling us it's fine, everything's fine, it's all good, it's all fine. Listen, you better make a plan for when you can't drive anymore. Not only that, but you better expect power outages as well, because I don't care what kind of power plant you have, whether it's coal or whatever, if they can't run the mining equipment to get the stuff they need to run the power plant, guess what? You're not going to have any power. A report has come out that Iran has rejected every proposal so far for a temporary ceasefire with the U.S. and Israel. That came from Axios. Bloomberg is reporting that Washington is withdrawing its strategic missiles from the Pacific and redeploying them for the war on Iran. Meanwhile, China is just grinning from ear to ear. Reuters is quoting an Israeli military official saying, "We are preparing to attack the Iranian energy facilities, and we are just waiting for the green light from Washington." War crime. You can't attack civilian energy facilities. That is a no-no. Politico is reporting that France intends to increase its stockpile of missiles and drones by 4 times its current level by 2030. You don't think they're gearing up for a war in Europe? President Trump, on a post in Truth Social, says if you import the third world, you become the third world, and it's not going to happen to the United States of America as long as I'm president. Did y'all see what they did down in Houston over the weekend? They banned all Easter celebrations because they didn't want to upset the Islamic community in Texas, of all places. Australian media reports that food prices in Australia have risen 10 to 20% and are expected to increase another 10 to 20% or more, potentially affecting both quantity and quality of food. The Iranian foreign minister says the attacks on its nuclear facilities expose the entire region to radiation. In a response to Trump's deadlines and threats, the head of the National Security and Foreign Policy Committee in the Iranian parliament says Iran will take you and your soldiers directly to the depths of hell. They want to make a deal so bad. Yep, I'm not buying any of that. The U.S. government has banned Planet Labs from releasing satellite images from the war after the image reveals damage to military bases because, I don't know, maybe things aren't going as well as what they're telling us. Iran has accused the United States and Israel of war crimes after strikes on Iranian infrastructure. And they may be right. The occupation army announced that Hezbollah is capable of bombing Israel with 200 rockets daily for at least 5 consecutive months. The U.S. and Israel bombed petrochemical facilities in Iran. Petrochemicals are a vital component of making pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. When the farmers don't have pesticides, that usually leads to pestilence, which is one of the horsemen, right? The Pentagon has released casualty figures for the ongoing conflict in Iran, saying 13 U.S. service members have been eliminated and 365 wounded since the start of the military operation of early April. The U.S. government is asking private satellite image providers to blur images related to the Iranian war indefinitely. And a Bloomberg report says the United States has sent almost all of its JSAM-ER cruise missiles for the war in Iran to the Middle East, leaving CENTCOM with only about 450 JSAM-ER missiles from the pre-war inventory of 2,300. A CNN report says Trump is trying to build a massive voter database, and election officials are afraid of what he'll do with it. Well, I'm not really afraid what he'll do with it, but I'm kind of worried about what the next guy will do with it. So you know what? This is one of the reasons I don't vote. I'm in enough databases already. An AL.com report says Pam Bondi's portrait was found in the trash hours after Trump fired her as Attorney General. That's interesting. Trump files an emergency appeal to keep building the White House ballroom. And Secret Service investigates report of gunfire near the White House. Kuwait Petroleum says its headquarters was set ablaze by a drone strike, according to a Bloomberg report. A CNN report says a backpack full of explosives were found near the Serbia-Hungary gas pipeline. U.S. Economist says the March jobs report is not good. Greatest economy ever, right? Mm-hmm. And that is your Easter Sunday edition of the Doom Report. Happy Easter, guys. Hope you're all spending some time with your family, having a good day. Remember, keep doing the things. Don't wait for SHTF because it ain't going to wait for you. We'll see y'all on the next one. Oh, P.S. There is no 0 hour tonight due to Easter Sunday. So we'll see y'all next week.